I'm joined by Irvine Welsh. Irvine, there's a new movie, a documentary, Reality is Not Enough, and in that you say that part of the premise of the film is that you're making sense of yourself and the world. So how's that going?
Not great. It's a painting the Fourth Road Bridge type of job, like to try and make sense of the world now, and to try and make sense of yourself is never particularly a good move. But I did see it as part of that, embarking on that process, basically.
I thought it was quite an interesting. It's like a meander through your life. Paul, the director, he's not very intrusive in terms of the way he kind of lets you kind of paint a picture of your background and your experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I think because there's a lot of trust there, we're all friends, and he was able to convince me to do a sort of quite a more intimate documentary, but he was also able to say, well, just say what you want to say and do what you want to do. I'm not going to sort of try and lead you in any particular direction. But he did, he obviously set up the framing device of the DMT thing in Toronto, and the rest was all pretty naturalistic, basically.
Yeah. You said, that you've enjoyed the story so far, but you're not slowing down. You're at a point where you don't have to work, but you're as busy as you've ever been.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, I don't really see it as work, I see it as play, basically. I mean, I do think of myself as having retired 30 years ago, just to indulge my hobbies. And so I just get excited by the things that I see in the conversations that I have and what's going on around me. And I want to try to, I think the whole process of writing fiction is about trying to understand the world, yourself in the world, and where, and how it's all sort of, coming together or falling apart. That's the way that I'm trying to look at that.
And one of the things that you talk about is this concept of writing, and it's almost like, you take aspects of things that you've encountered and you amplify it, or you delve into it and you rewrite it and you take it in a completely different direction. How much is that connection to this place, to Edinburgh, to Scotland, still, give you that impetus?
I think it's everything, because I think you're always formed. Every individual and every writer, you're formed by your kind of childhood and your early adult experiences of growing up in a place, and I think that really defines you both as a person and as, for want of a better term, an artist. It's like that's always. I mean, the next book I've got next year is kind of set in Vegas with American characters, but it's still not. It's a book that could probably only be written by somebody from Leith, basically. It's still, it still has all that. It's still propelled by me, sort of having that sort of bedrock of a place kind of ingrained in me. Even though I'm taking all these sensibilities, even though I'm observing people in Vegas and learning about people in that culture and kind of different age groups and that sort of scene, it's very much about sort of, the powerhouse of it is very much where you come from.
Yeah. I've met you at events and I've talked to some of your pals, and some of your pals pop up in this documentary. Having that lifelong connection through people, you're a traveller, you've been all over the world, but you still have those people that take you, but that have you. It's a tangible connection. You're not just returning to Edinburgh all the time, but you're returning to people. Has that been important in your life, having these people that are your bedrock, your connection?
Yeah, I mean, it's like sometimes I've tried to get rid of them, but I can't.
It's easier said than done.
But it's important, because it's like. I've lived all over the place now, and I've travelled all over the place, but I've never felt that I was running away from where I came from. I always felt that I was curious about what was around the corner, so I wanted to have a look at that, and maybe I got lost in it a few times and stayed a bit longer now than I should have, but I've always felt that I've always really liked where I came from. I've always felt very comfortable there. I've always liked the people that I've kind of grown up with. I've always liked kind of family and close friends and all that. I've never really wanted to I've never felt there was any, I just didn't feel that there was any reason not to be connected to them, for as long as I'm around.
Yeah.
And it's basically stayed like that, and that's just, I suppose, it's just the way I am, I suppose, like, you kind of, it's not so much consciously valuing people, it's just, what else would I do? Why would I not,
Yeah. One of the themes, I suppose, of a lot of the stuff that you're talking about through the documentary is the changes, the kind of almost imperceptible changes that happen as you go along the road, and then there is a point where you realise that you are further away from where you started. I was just wondering if this was an opportunity for you, if you actually did learn anything along the way when you were forced to kind of look at the last body of work and look at yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. One of the things that was interesting to me is how you perceive time, and how time moves in this very linear way, and you kind of you get older and you sort of you modify certain things about yourself, but it also moves in a very lateral way as well, and you're not just moving through time; that time's moving through you too, and that was a sort of I thought Paul gave a great kind of visual sense of that with that scene where I'm in that gallery and I'm looking at all these projections, and that that's sometimes how you feel when you get off the train at Waverley and you think to yourself, there's all this familiarity, but the little differences that you're not quite caught up with are apparent as well. But there's also your own subconscious starts filling in all these blanks. So the whole thing feels like a kind of, for want of a better term, it feels like a kind of tableau of being on drugs, almost like when you just step out there and you're looking around and you're thinking, whoa, here I am, here, it's the same, it's different, it's the same, it's different, it's just, so all this is going on all the time.
Yeah. I'm wondering about the part of the framing of the documentary as well is you go into lots of kind of literary events, and it's something that I know that you enjoy, and that direct connection you can get with readers, and it's part of the stage that you're at with the books that you've still got to get out there and stuff like that. You weren't always, you were the punky upstart when you started, and now you're in the Big Ten with all the elder statesmen. Did that sometimes feel a bit, that level of acceptance, does that sometimes feel a bit odd?
He's gone from enfant terrible to national treasure in about 2 weeks. No, it's something that, again, it's like one of the interesting things about the documentary is you look at yourself in a way, and it's like you think to myself, well, one of the great things that I've had going for me is that I've never really been self-conscious about anything. I've just steamed in, and lived in the moment, and that's kind of served me well. So I don't really perceive myself as having any kind of legacy or even any kind of status in the literary world or anything like that. I just, what I am about is the thing that I'm working on at the moment, and that's the thing that I'm immersed in. And everything else is just, it's an act of giving it away. You're giving it out to the world and all that. And, the world might think brilliant, or the world might think, keep it, meh. But it doesn't matter. You've got rid of it and you're on to the next thing. Yeah. And that's the great freedom you have as a writer. You have that blank page again. You want to get back to that scenario where you have this blank page.
Yeah, when you were in America, you're talking to your manager, and he said he was out at some kind of cool festival or something, and there was younger kids, and two of them were wearing Trainspotting t-shirts. The fact that that's like a classic album that keeps self-perpetuating, that's become part of pop culture, but not just here, all kinds of different crazy places. The fact that it had a life of its own, that you have given it away, is that kind of cool?
Well, it is. It's great because usually about every 5 years, the royalties will just suddenly peak again because there's a whole new bunch of people have discovered it. Usually college kids and all that. It's become like a rite of passage book that, we used to have Kerouac on the road and all that stuff. It was a kind of book you had to read, and it's become like that basically. And it's fabulous for me to it's like it's made me confront that's the extent of it basically. So. I don't know what, maybe I'll start kind of getting big-headed and sort of thinking, wow, I deserve a Rolls Royce up to the book fair and all that kind of.
There's a bit near the end where you're DJing the Radisson Red in Glasgow, and you know, that's like DJing and playing music, that's still a big part of your life, right? That's been a strand as much as writing. That's been a strand that's just been with you, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of, it's one of these stupid things that it's actually kind of, this is something that, you know, you should start off in that thing when you're younger, and then it should kind of die out slowly. And it's got the other way around for me. It's kind of got more and more and more as I've got older, basically. I don't know what all that's about, but you know, we set up the record label about 4 years ago, and so I'm still very active in the dance music scene. It's ironic when you get to that age where your legs aren't kind of there to throw all-nighters anymore, like, you know, and you're more obsessed with dance music than ever.
Yeah.
It's just a bizarre phenomenon. But yeah, I mean, it is. You know, I was DJing at the weekend, and I'm DJing again tomorrow, and it's just such it's such a nice compliment to writing, because you're writing and it's going to, everything you do, every sentence you write, you know, every chapter you write, it's going to be ages before it sees the light of day, and then people are going to be reading it privately. You're never going to see what happens to them. But every track you put down, you know straight away whether it's kind of, you know, whether people are like kind of whoa, or they're like, yeah, I'll go and get a drink now. Yeah. So it's fabulous to have that instant feedback.
Yeah. We were both at Murrayfield for Oasis, and the first track before the band came out was Born Slippy. Is it fun as a writer to have your own theme song?
You know what? It was strange, because when when I went to the Tuesday gig, I didn't know they would be playing that, and it was like a few people around me started looking around, and everybody started to kind of look around at that point. And I thought I was incognito. So after the gig, I texted Noel about, you know, just to congratulate him on it was a great gig, and it was interesting that he said that the whole thing went off absolutely brilliantly from Born Slippy to the fireworks, and they included Born Slippy in the fireworks in this whole experience, which I think was very generous of him. Like,
I wanted to ask you a bit about Glasgow, because you know you worked on films there, you've worked on television shows there, you've had that relationship with venues and stuff like that. You've got pals there. What are some of your favourite places in Glasgow?
Well, now, you know, it's kind of SWG3, just such a great resource. It's just, you know, it's fabulous for Glasgow that it has that space there. I mean, you know, the Arches used to be a great, back in the day, you know, the slam gigs at the Arches, and the Sub Club, obviously, you know, the Sub is just an institution. It's you know, it's just brilliant. Like, you know, it's still got that kind of feel to it. You know, you can only be in the Sub Club when you're in the Sub Club, and you know, it's like there's certain kind of heartbreakers as well. Like the Rogano's restaurant's gone now. Like, you know, I thought that would be in Glasgow forever. You know, it's one of these places you kind of. And it's just absolutely heartbreaking, that kind of thing. And I think you feel it more when you're not from the town, because you mark the town by these places. I mean, there's still some great pubs, like the Horseshoe is one of my favourite pubs in the world, and the Variety Bar down Sauchiehall Hall, the other end of Sauchiehall Hall Street. It's just, you know, it's like it's just such a fabulous city, basically. And I know that my Ouija friends will say, "Oh, he's taking the piss. He's got the tongue in the cheek there," but I'm not. Like.
Also, the Oxford Dictionary has you recorded as the first literary use of the word Ouija.
Right. So it's probably true. Like,
you immortalised that.
And now
rivalry.
the Ouijas have embraced it themselves. Like, you know.
Irvine, it's great to see you.
Paul, always a pleasure.
I'll speak to you soon.